Hello, welcome back to another broke-ass Mario Kart Super Circuit tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do a zigzag mini-turbo. Now, zigzag mini-turbos is just a way to build quick mini-turbos in this game. It's helpful for situations where you want to build a mini-turbo, like cutting off-road right here. Or like that too. Or even that. Done right, this technique can save you fractions of a second. But before I go any further, I would like to start off with quite a lengthy disclaimer. Now, if you are a new-ish speedrunner who's looking for ways to improve your game, I would not recommend you try and implement this into your gameplay. And the reason is why is because Zigzag Mini Turbo, although it may seem like it, is nothing like snaking from Mario Kart DS or Mario Kart Double Dash. This technique will not give you a clear and distinct advantage over someone who is not doing ZZMTs. And that's because lines in this game are important above all else. If you're pumping out mini turbos but you're not getting great lines, a player performing no mini turbos at all could smash you just from taking better lines. To show you an example of this, I'm actually going to show you one of my old runs. And this is to show you how, if improperly done, can actually hurt your gameplay. Alright, now performing a zigzag mini turbo here on a long straightaway, sure, it'll save you fractions of a second, no matter what. However, once I'm here, you shouldn't perform any zigzag mini turbos because it can affect your lines, as you will see right here. So watch, I go for the zigzag mini turbo, but look, since I did the zigzag mini turbo, I ended up having to take a wider line because I didn't know what I was doing. So I urge you to perfect your lines before trying to implement this into your gameplay. And as I like to say, you have to master snaking in Mario Kart DS to become a top player, but you have to become a top player in this game to master zigzag mini turbos. I mean, that's not really true, but I mean, it sounds TE, so I'm gonna keep saying it. But if you're just a casual player or a curious player and you want to try this out, I mean, by all means, I'm not gonna stop you. Also, according to Edge, pumping out mini turbos actually really helps you on Grand Prix mode, so if you're playing Grand Prix mode, you can also use this technique, and it won't hurt too bad. Since, I mean, we all know the computers, they take trash lines. They don't even drift. So let's get to it. So to get a grasp on zigzag mini turbos, we first have to understand how regular mini turbos work. Now, a regular mini turbo is when you're in a drift for 60 consecutive frames and you have to straighten your card out in order to release that mini turbo. This means it has to have next to no horizontal movement. As you can see, my mini turbo didn't release until my slide ended. So before you try this technique, I would recommend you at least get proficient at releasing mini turbos. And I think Luigi Circuit is a perfect course for this. This is because it has a lot of U-turns, and a lot of U-turns means a lot of opportunities to get mini turbos. The next thing I want to talk about is controller limitations. Now, if you're playing on original hardware, whether it be a Game Boy Advance or a Nintendo DS, you will have to modify your console in order to perform a zigzag mini turbo. However, if you're playing on any controller that has a thumbstick, or if you're playing on a controller that has two different buttons for the directional inputs, you can perform this without modifying your controller. It's just going to be a lot harder. Let me show you. Now, the way most people zigzag mini turbos, they just wiggle their D-pad back and forth. And this one's easy. You just wiggle and giggle. In the D-pad method, while easy, you definitely do have to modify your controller in order to zigzag mini turbo with your D-pad only. But you can actually do this with a thumbstick and a D-pad. It is a little tricky, but it doesn't require any modifications to your controller. Now, in this game, when you hold two controller inputs at the same time down, for example, like you see me doing here, the game will automatically default to whatever your D-pad is doing. So if you claw your controller and then hold right on the joystick, but then tap left on your D-pad, you can make it work. Like I said though, this is tricky and I don't see why anybody would do this, but I mean, hey, if you really, really want to, there's no stopping you. And of course, if you have a controller like, say, a Switch Joy-Con, which has two separate buttons for the two different directions, you can do the same thing as I just showed you. You can just hold one direction and then tap the other direction, and then you'll get the zigzag mini turbo. You can also do this with a keyboard as well. Now, returning to the D-pad thing, there are many videos out there that can show you how to disassemble your Game Boy Advance and modify your controller. It's quite an easy modification. I might even make a video about it if somebody requested in the comments or something. But yeah, once you have your D-pad all modified up, it's a pretty simple technique to perform. To save time with it is difficult, yes, I admit, but to actually perform the technique is pretty simple. I recommend you try Shy Guy Beach because it has very long straightaways and very wide road. You can just go on Shy Guy Beach and then cut off everything. Well, you can see that I just did terribly there, but you get the point. So yeah, I just recommend you practice here a lot. You want to try to reduce your sway as much as possible. Now, the most useful application of this I can find is on Sky Garden right here. Now, normally you need to hold your mini turbo all the way down that straightaway. However, with zigzag mini turbo, you can just release this mini turbo right here and then build another one so you can cut the gap. And there you go, there's the tutorial. I'm sure you thoroughly enjoyed watching me talk about something I know nothing about. However, suck a dick. Anyways, as always, I'm Bambi and you're watching Disney Channel.